Everyone, and this is our belief, should have 30 to 40% of their asset that should be their properties, if not more.
If you have 1 million euros, they're going to pay you at least 6% of your investment yearly.
What would I expect to encounter on my journey towards purchasing a property? What would you advise me I should look out for?
With a significant low deposit, you can get a property that finances itself.
They say that the property where you live is a liability and the property that you rent is actually an asset.
So you give me 1 million euros, every year I'm going to give you 60,000 euros.
So why not taking this step? Buying into a property that is an income generating asset and that will bring capital appreciation.
David.
Neil, how are you doing?
Good, how are you doing?
Good, good.
Thanks for sitting down with me.
Thank you. We've been looking forward for this.
Yeah, me too, me too. Let's start by maybe you can introduce yourself and tell us what you do here.
Okay, my name is David Moura-George. I've been at Athena Advisers for the past 6 years. Actually, today it's the birthday, my first day at Athena.
Is it? Congratulations.
Yeah.
How's it feel?
So, yeah, I'm super psyched. Yeah, it's been a good journey. It's been a good journey. I'm very passionate about what I'm doing. And it's funny, like our theme is commercial, and it's funny how I discovered my passion in Athena. So when I graduated from school, I was for 13 years, I had my own branding and real estate marketing. And then I went to Brazil, and for the first 2 years, I opened a self-storage business. Then the last 5 years in São Paulo, I was the managing director of a Spanish company to do fit-out interior construction of office spaces. And then I started, understanding a little bit what was all the office spaces about, which is one of the legs of commercial is really offices. And then after those 5 years in the Spanish company, I had a chat with our founder, Roman Carell. And because it was his birthday and it was my birthday the same day, this was August 25th, just this August 25th, this was just 6 years ago. And, we immediately got a connection going, and I was hired. But I already did a lot of real estate marketing, but I had not been involved directly in brokerage. And I started working in a company. So Athena Advisors for 20 years, we have been doing our specializations to sell off-plan residential property. That's what we've been doing for 20 years. We started in the Alps. We are probably the biggest seller of chalets in the French side of the Alps. And then 8 years ago, we came into Portugal. I was hired 6 years ago, and here we start selling off-plan property. But after I was in the company for 6-7 months, I start feeling the market, knowing what's going around, and then suddenly, I closed the deal for 43 million euros. I sold a plot of land, and the partners of the company was like, "Wow, David, what is this?" And I said, "This is commercial real estate." And I said, "Really? Okay, so just move forward. Follow your passion." I realized that that's really my passion. It's commercial real estate. So they're like, "Okay, move forward, do what you think you should do." And this is what I've been doing, So for the past 6 years, I manage our team in Portugal. I lead them so we could continue to sell our residential off-plan property. But at the same time, I'm personally very focused on commercial real estate, and I take care of some specific clients. So the journey of commercial real estate began at Athena, and it began with a great shot of 43 million euros. I think the biggest sale at Athena at the time had been for 11 or 12 million, and I did a great shot of 43 million euros selling a plot of land. So that was the first deal. And then I started getting really enthusiastic about commercial real estate because, I started to realize that it's something that has more to do, it's more cold, it has more to do with investment. And then I start understanding, how really, as an investment, how much secure and how much the flow of cash could be. And I started understanding that for me, it made much more sense to have a commercial asset than a residential asset, So when we sell a residential place, we always have to be very careful because we're dealing with people's emotions. They're spending their lives saving to buy that house, and they're very specific about, they want 3 windows, they want 1 window, they want garage for 3, for 4, they want a pink ceiling, So very specific emotional matters, which is your residence. I've sold, several commercial deals that the people have not even been in Portugal. They have never been here. They haven't been on site. I call them up, I explain the location, I tell them the returns, I tell them who is the tenant, what type of lease we have in place, and people buy it. Just in the past 3 months, I've sold one, and the person did not even come here. So that really made me enthusiastic about it. The numbers made more sense. The cash flow made more sense. And I realized that these clients, they were coming back to me every year. So I was like, this is really makes sense. I'm really passionate about commercial real estate, but I'm passionate about people. So when I have a client, I like to be with them. I like to relate with them regularly. When you sell a house, you sell to a person and maybe you only see them in the next 7 years. In commercial real estate, the clients, I see them, I keep in touch, I tell them how their asset is doing. A year passes, like, David, what are we going to buy this year? I said, I'm searching, so I always keep in touch and I keep these clients close by and they buy it regular for me. So for me, it has been a big success and for the company. And, we're enthusiastic about the commercial side of Athena Advisers.
Especially when the deals go up to 44 million.
Exactly. But, to tell you the truth, that's not really what drives me. I really like the 1 million, the 2 million euro deals as well, because I get enthusiastic about the project, the asset, because this recent deal, I saw the asset, I was presented, and as soon as I got it in my email, I read just the first paragraph of it, and I knew right away that I had 2 or 3 clients interested in that, okay? So commercial real estate, the location is important, but most important of all, it's the tenant. Who's our tenant? Who's the person that's going to be probably inside that space for the next 5, 10, 20 years? So usually we need to pick them and see, are they floating in the market? Economically, how are they doing? I always do a research to see how are they doing, have they been paying their suppliers, how did they go through COVID, if it's a restaurant, how did they supply, how many restaurants they have, what's their expansion program. So I always do a personal due diligence on the tenants. So the most important is the tenant. We always try and pick always AAA tenants. Second of all is the lease. How long is the lease? How many years do we have until the person can break that lease? So Neil, if I come up to you and I say, listen, Neil, I've got a project here. It's one area which is a supermarket. I love supermarkets. Like Pingo Doce, it's a great brand in Portugal. They have over 400 retail shops. They've never left one shop. They've been doing this for years and years. They're really solid. And I tell you, Neil, you have 1 million euros. I have here a shop of Pingo Doce. They just open it up. They're going to be for 20 years. They're going to be there. They can't leave because there is no break clause. So I guarantee you they'll be there for the next 20 years. Maybe they can have a break clause after the 12th year. But listen, if you have 1 million euros, they're going to pay you at least 6% of your investment yearly. So you give me 1 million euros. Every year I'm going to give you 60,000 euros. And for the next 20 years, and that 60,000 euros, it's going to be corrected by inflation. That makes all the sense to me because you're going to receive this regular cash flow of your investment, and if you want to sell it after 10 or 15 years, it's fantastic because then you'll have the capital appreciation. So in my opinion, commercial deals, you'll always have a secure return between 8 to 10%. I think every year a commercial asset, very conservatively, we're talking about 2 to 3% that it goes up in value. Plus, I'm telling you that I'm going to give you that 6% if you give me 1 million. But what if I tell you, Neil, I only need 500,000 from you. We're going to leverage in the bank another 500,000. We're going to pay only 3% on the bank. So right away, the 500 that you gave me, instead of getting a 6% return, you're going to get a 7 or 8% return right away because you have a part of it that's leveraged. So that's, again, the beauty of these projects is that the banks, they love these leases. They love these long leases. And if you go up to them and you tell them, listen, I've got a supermarket, Pingo Doce, here's the lease. I have 500,000. Can I have another 500,000? They said, yes. Give me that contract. All the deposits of this will be made in this bank account. So I will lend you 50,000 of it. So right away, your return on your 500,000, instead of being 6%, it goes up and it's around 7 or 8%. So you're starting off like this, plus the appreciation, plus it gets corrected by inflation. So all these figures, all these pieces of the puzzle made me like, how come no one has seen it? For me, it's so obvious, it's so evident that it makes all the sense to me. So that's what really makes me, when I have an asset, it's very easy to me because I know what I'm talking. I believe in that asset so much. I believe in that tenant. I believe in that lease. So it's a very straightforward deal for me.
There's a lot more residential investors out there than there is commercial investors. And it sounds like, from what you're talking about, because there's so much expertise that goes into doing that due diligence that you talk about, understanding the structure of the deal. But with the numbers as valuable as they are, and as valuable as you're talking they are, how important is it for an investor who's interested in a commercial deal like this to find somebody with expertise that you're talking about now?
Yeah, it's very important. It's very important, especially because we're talking about usually foreign investors, most of our clients, so they don't know the market, they don't know the right lawyers to speak with, they don't know the right accountants. So, at Athena Advisors, we give them all that support to them. So again, I have clients that they've made their first investment with me, and that now we're at the third or fourth investment. And because, they got confidence, they understand how the market worked. They came in, they put 2 or 3 million into an asset, and now we're rolling out and we're looking for things around the 6, 7, 8 million range. So yes, it's really important that, if you're not an investor already in Portugal, that you're already established in the market, you know all the players, it's really important that you come to Athena Advisors and, Athena Advisors hold your hand all the way through the process, and we clearly, transparently will explain to you and share with you all the knowledge that we have, so that's really, really important.
So you've had clients growing with you, their portfolios growing with you, all within the Portugal commercial real estate market.
Yes.
So maybe let's talk about the Portugal real estate market.
Okay.
How has it been over the last 10 years or so? How has it been since your time joining Athena, and how would you describe its current situation today?
So, our clients, sometimes their first move is to buy an apartment. And then, we start to chat, and then they want to move into commercial. The big 5 companies, they've realized that there's this space, which is commercial investment, between 1 million and 10 million euros. This is a sweet spot, which is really Athena's sweet spot in commercial side, because we are a little bit of the private people that come into the commercial area. So these tickets, it's a little bit new in the market, because before people just bought their house, and now they buy also commercial because they realize what such a good investment that it is, So to go back, this segment in Portugal, it does very well, because especially we are a small country. I've gone to the States, I've talked to funds, I've talked to family offices, but sometimes they need, 100 million euros project. They need, at least, David, 70 million euro project, and we're not there. Portugal doesn't have the size for these type of deals, So again, it brings us to where our sweet spot is, which is again between 1 and 10 million euros. And in Portugal there, it has done very well. Just in the past 3 years, Portugal has been breaking its own record year to year in commercial sales. I don't know how the figures right at this moment, but I will share it with you. It will be interesting for us to look at these data for the past 10 years. But in the last 2 or 3 years, it has breaking successive records in the billion area of commercial investment here in Portugal. I think it will continue to thrive. Portugal, the commercial area, it's not only, I spoke about one area of commercial, which is a little bit the retail side or the logistics side. I'm fond of logistics. I learned this with clients. As I was looking for a property for them, I also learned how to get passionate about these projects and why logistics makes sense. And I'm passionate about supermarkets, and this is a little bit what I like, as well as the development side, different projects to develop. So Commercial has these different segments. So you have leisure, which we're talking about hotels. We have high-end retail, which we're talking about shops, like the shops in Avenida de Liberdade. We're talking about Pingo Doce stores. We're talking about, that's retail. We've got logistics. And then we've got the new category, the special type of assets, which we include them together, which are student residencies, and places for the old people. How do you say it in English, Neil? Help me out.
Healthcare and home residences.
Home residences, yeah. So this is a special segment. And then we have the development side, like the greenfield development. So this is another area which this development can be for residential, or it can be for logistics sites, or for multi-purpose with different type of segments in it. So, did I answer your question?
Great, no, that was wonderful. I think what would be really interesting to know is a breakdown of when you get asset come across your desk, new one come to the market, what process do you go through to do your due diligence? And if you have a client that's interested, what are the steps that you take? Because I think that, like we were talking about just before, lots of people that invest in residential, people can go and value a house, they have an understanding of it themselves, it's an easier thing to be able to grasp. But with commercial, the expertise that's going on behind the scenes is of such a high standard, and it's an enormous amount of trust. So maybe you can just explain what that process, a linear journey, might look like if everything goes well without any hiccups.
Maybe to answer your question, I can also make a little comparison about one asset and the other. So if you buy an apartment, again, why I like commercial better, if you buy a residential apartment for yourself, so say, David, I want to buy an apartment and I want to rent it out. So usually in Portugal, if you lease out your apartment, mid to long term, you're talking about 3 to 4%. Okay? And while commercial, you're usually talking about between 5 and 6. So your yield, your return in your money in commercial will in general always be higher than your apartment. Okay? The capital appreciation in general will be a little bit higher on the residential side. It'll be more stable in the commercial yielding projects, But the thing is, if you're an investor, you don't want a little bit those headaches. So if you have an apartment, after 1 year, the tenant leaves, you're like 1 or 2 months, my God, I can't rent this place. And then you have the tenant that calls you, oh, the water's dripping, you have this problem. So it's all these, a little bit of headaches, and you need to get your hands on. While commercial, you have these places which are usually 10 to 20 year leases, and the people, if anything happens inside of the asset, they're responsible to maintain it. So it's a much easier relationship in terms of maintenance and the long-term view. So to answer your question, I've been jumping around a little bit, Neil. You need to stay focused to follow me. But to answer your question, the behind the scenes, it's really knowing the market, knowing the people. I'm constantly in touch with lawyers, with our partners, looking for these assets. You tell me, David, so it's so great. How come not everyone's doing? That's the thing. It's that they're very scarce. They're very rare to find. I need to find them before they come out to the market. I need to know when they're still talking to lawyers that they want to sell. They have told someone that they want to sell. So yeah, we need to be constantly in touch with our partners, with lawyers, with accountants to find out these deals. Because as soon as their head pops up, if we don't sell it, someone will soon sell because they're great. They're great, and there aren't not that many. I just spoke with a partner of ours from Porto yesterday that he had a mandate from a logistics fund that wanted to buy logistics, and they came out with a list of 48 different logistics sites. They went to knock and make offers in all of them to buy them. From these 48, they only managed to buy one logistics site out of 48. He sat with the owner saying, listen, I have an offer, we want to buy it. And just one of these 48 got sold. So you see how, with offers above market value. So you see how difficult this is to have these assets. So to answer your question, it goes with a lot of chatting. Again, relationship that we have with these different partners, different companies, that gives us this feedback, and then we can ensure that we have these assets to propose to our clients.
So very much time is money in that case. And when you compare commercial to residential, whilst they're both great stores of wealth and will rise with inflation, commercial is the cash, and cash is king in terms of your investment portfolio, would you say?
Yes, yes, definitely. And it's a management much more hands-off. We have clients from South Africa, from Brazil that invest with us. Again, they're not here. They have us as consultants for them, and then they have their accountants and their lawyers. That's it. They don't come here, and the cash is flowing. They have their bank accounts, and the things are flowing into their account, and that's it. It's a really straightforward process.
What opportunities do we have in our offerings at the moment?
So we have opportunities that we have right now are more a little bit on the development side. We're waiting to be approved a student residence in Lisbon. We have a residential project to sell to be developed in the other side of the river. We have a great project in Carrapateira, which I know that you know and you're really fond of. That project, you can, for instance, get 6 friends. Each one puts 2 million in. For 12 million, you can build 18 houses, and you'll sell each one for 1 million. So for 12 million, you recover your money, and then you have 6 houses that can be yielding for you for the next, 30, 40 years, and it's great return. So we have these different opportunities, not already cash generating, but more in the development side. There are bigger returns on these sides, but some clients are not ready yet to move in and to take this risk, or they don't know well the location, they don't understand the market. So again, for our international clients, they need to feel more comfortable in the market. If I come to them already with an asset that's producing cash, for them it's much more clear that that's where they should invest. There's no question about it. But to answer your question, we do have a couple different examples on the development side. Really interesting. I think Carrapateira, it's a great project, especially because it's inside, a natural park, and there can't be any more construction in there. And the people that have houses there, they have an occupation of 90 to 95% yearly in the short term, which is, it's unheard of. But what happened is that we have all summer that it's rented out for long periods. And now Portugal, we're blessed by having all these nomads that come here for 3 and 4 months during winter. They want to rent these houses. They want to spend some time at the beach. They work, go to the beach, they surf, and they stay during the months of winter. So the occupation of the houses in the Vincentine coast, they're really high. So I'm really bullish about this project that we have for Carrapateira. I've just been reflecting, it's how come we haven't sold it yet? But it's just that I've presented to a couple American investors, but they're not here. So for them, it would be a little bit trickier. But let's see, I'm certain that until the end of the year, this asset will be sold by us.
I've only got 2 more questions for you. One, it'd be quite nice to revisit what your most challenging deal has been and the one that you've been most proud of. If maybe you could talk through and give us an example.
The most challenging one, it's, we recently sold a Pensão Agrícola, which is a very charming hotel in the southern part of Portugal. I love that area, and they were selling it as a hotel. But when I saw the asset, again, we need to be, we have that flexibility. We're Athenians, and we have that different eye. We look at the asset, and I said, this would be great for a house, for an American couple, for an American family to come and have their vacation house here. So that's what we did. I got a call from this couple from San Francisco, and they were looking to buy in Comporta, and they also mentioned Tavira. And then when they mentioned Tavira, I mentioned, I know this really amazing project there. And then they came over, and we did the coast together. And then we got there when they saw and they spent some time on Pensão Agrícola, which is the asset they bought. It was the most challenging because the assets, they were not ready to sell in terms of documentation, due diligence. And the people that were selling it, they were really attached to the project. So it took maybe around 8 or 9 months to get the deal done. several times, moving forward, moving backwards, moving forward, back. And the thing is that we learn at Athena and at these deals that we need to be really calm, and you can't never think that the deal is closed at any moment. It's just closed when the money is in the bank. And I do it again because I love the asset, I love the region, and this was a really complicated deal because of what I explained. But the other deal, which you said that we're most proud of, I have to say it was our deal in Alcântara. We got to know, to interact with Calatrava Grace. They're a branch of development side of the Calatrava, which is one of the most renowned architects, and they're looking to invest. And we had in our hands, 5 buildings in central Alcântara that was just being approved for a development of residential. And then we start with them looking at these assets. And then we bought a huge fund, which is RFR. RFR, they own the Seagram building in New York. They own several buildings in New York. So they're one of the big players, and this was their first investment here. So that's why I'm really proud of RFR investing in this project, holding hands together with Calatrava. And at the end, it didn't work out to be a residential because it would be several other costs of making construction, of underground parking, and so the exit of this would be great to get a tenant, which was a school. So yes, Calatrava brought in a school from the Middle East, and they signed the lease for 25 years. So we're going to have an international school in central Lisbon, and Athena was part of this. And that it makes me really proud. It makes me really proud of us being a small boutique shop, but being able to advise at this level and making sure this deal goes through. The negotiation was really tough because the people at RFR were really tough negotiating. Again, you need to be really calm and just, you're the one that speaks with both sides of the game. You speak with the seller, you speak with the buyer, and you need to know when are they really talking the truth, when are they bluffing. You need to have the sensibility to know when to push the string and when to say, this is it. This is the day we're going to close it, and we did it. And it was exactly like this, the negotiation. So I'm really proud that Athena did this deal. I'm really proud of us.
It sounds like quite a juxtaposition, because you talked earlier on that it's almost emotionless because you're taking out emotion out of the deals and you're looking purely at the numbers. But then when you go into a commercial deal that's putting an international school in the heart of Lisbon, you're suddenly actually adding an enormous amount of emotion back in because of what that commercial deal then goes on to do in terms of the education of young people, offering more opportunities to people in Lisbon. So I can see why it excites you so much, right, to be able to have almost a clear line between the emotion and the people-orientated part of the deal and the pure numbers and the investment, which is ultimately what people are seeking.
For sure.
And then just finally, what I'd like to ask is for our listeners out there, sure, that are interested in stepping into their first commercial deal based off the information you've just provided, what would you advise them to be their next step? And if that was to speak to you and to reach out, what would they expect to go through in that initial exploratory phase in terms of understanding what their options might be?
Well, first of all, of course, they should come to Athena Advisers, and of course, we should talk to them, and I would love to sit with them on the table and explain to them, just in more detail this process. What we do, it's really understand the people, understand the buyers. I talk to people until I really have pictured in my mind what do they really need. When I understand what they need, I'll find it. That's how we operate. We tailor-make this search. We really sit down, we really work as advisors, sit down, understand what they're looking for, what their needs, for when do they want to exit, how do they want to exit, for what purpose this is. And we've had, people that have bought houses from us in the Alps. I've got to know them, and then so next thing we know, we're buying in the city of Porto, in the most famous street of Porto, they're buying a custard tart shop. And this deal is making when I'm in the middle of a bit of COVID, I'm in the Azores on the phone, and they're back home in England, and and we're getting to chat. I was really wanted to make sure that, how was the group that owned it? Were they able to perform in case that COVID prolonged itself or not? So giving this feedback to the buyer very clearly, very transparently, what are their risks, and he makes the final call. He makes the decision, but we give him all the information necessary for him to make the right decision. This is the way we operate, and the people that are looking to make these type of investments, yes, I would love to sit with them and understand them and understand what they like and they don't like, what do they believe in and what do they don't believe in, So I've had clients that come from the UK and they really would like, a Burger King, a McDonald's, but they only want it in central Lisbon. And I've tried hard, but I've found them other Burger Kings, other locations, but not in central Lisbon, and they have not moved forward. Some clients are ready, some clients are not ready. They know specifically what they want, and sometimes what they want doesn't exist for the moment. The market is not ready. So we just need to have to wait and keep them in mind, and this is what we do.
David, Moura-George, thank you so much.
Neil, thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you today.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
What would you like to talk about next?
Let's talk a little bit about upcoming markets. I think Lisbon, it's getting to be harder and harder to develop. We have a really scarce amount of product in Lisbon. So I think it'd be interesting for us to see what's next. What's next? What are the next the upcoming destinations in Portugal that we believe are the ones that are going to kill it, the ones that will have great capital appreciation, the ones that is the right moment to move in. So I think maybe next time we'll talk about that. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Okay, great, Neil. Thanks. I'll see you next time.